Good morning, girlfriends. We are with Debbie Prediger and her ladies of the Be Extraordinary Women's Network and the Shine community, the Shine Circle. And we are doing something a little different today. We're going to have a brave conversation with these ladies. And I am just so thrilled to bring this kind of conversation to all of you. And Debbie, I admire you for all the work that you do with women and lifting them up, bringing them together, letting them have a voice and letting them shine. And so it's so wonderful to bring this to a community where we can collaborate together, we can love on each other and have these beautiful conversations. So welcome and tell us a little bit about your Shine community.
Oh, Karen, thank you so much for inviting me into this. I absolutely love what you're doing here and what you stand for. So, of course, it was a no-brainer for me to invite these extraordinary women in as well. What we're doing inside of the Be Extraordinary Women's Network is we're helping to elevate and spotlight extraordinary women making extraordinary moves across the globe. And that is a little different than what I was doing before with the Empowering You community, where it was entrepreneurs. What I'm focusing on now is all women of all ages, anywhere in the world. And I want to highlight and pull out that story of when they were extraordinary, when they made a decision, when they made a move that now they can see the ripple effect that it's created. And so the Shine Circle is just that extra bonus. These are all mentors inside of the Shine Circle membership, but they first became people that were spotlighted inside of my community. So we're creating a ripple by being a ripple. And I hope that makes sense to everyone.
Yes, and I love that ripple effect. It's showing up in where you are and creating so much with your wisdom, with your insights and beauty that you bring to the world. So I just love that. And so let's meet the other ladies too. So we've got Jenny Reyes, Ashley Borromeo, and Carolyn McGee with us here today. And ladies, just real quickly, give the audience, our girlfriends here, a little bit of background about you, just like a minute, so they know your heart. And so just tell us your name, the work that you are doing, and how you came to Debbie's community. So let's start with Jenny.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you, Debbie, for having us also as a part of this with you. And so, my name's Jenny Reyes. I am in California, and I typically am part of a team that does and helps build brands and create strategy around them. And as Debbie has given me in terms of a role and a title here in the Shine Circle, the alignment advisor, because it's about bringing all the pieces of your brand puzzle together. um, I met Debbie in a different community, and we kind of got to know each other. And I think last year and this year decided, it was time to actually take this collaboration to a next level. And so here we are.
Yes, and I love that. An alignment advisor. That's a new term. It's like we all need to be in alignment with what we're doing. So and where we're going. And so Ashley, tell the ladies a little bit about you.
Well, hello, everyone, and just all of the goodness that's about to be shared today. I'm so excited. I just have to share that. I'm excited. But I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I own a company called Tap Fit Fam, and we do tap dancing and we focus on fitness. And I know, Karen, it's so much fun. And then, of course, there's an element of me that is a coach as well, outside of just teaching tap dance. And I have a company or a coaching program called Alive and Aligned. So it pairs beautifully right after Jenny with the alignment advisor. But as the movement and momentum mentor inside of the Shine Circle that Debbie has graciously given me that title, it is about feeling alive and bringing energy into your day, but doing it in a fun way. Like, movement should be fun. It should not be torture. It should not feel like more work to work out. So that's a little bit about me, and the topic brave in itself. I cannot wait to dive into this.
Yes, we're going to have some fun and tap dancing. Okay, that's brave.
All dancing is brave for sure.
Yeah, I tried it when I was in college, and I've done a lot of dance, but that one was really hard, and so that one might be a brave step for me to go back and try and do that again. So I'm glad you brought that up. And Carolyn, we would love to meet you too. So tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you. My name is Carolyn McGee, and I am in Asheville, North Carolina. Yeah, Ashley and me together. And I am the discernment advisor for Debbie's communities, and it's discernment is making good decisions. It's making sure that you have all of the information available to you. We often get stuck, especially anybody who's been in corporate. I spent 25 years in corporate and now I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years. You can get really stuck in the logic and ignore your intuition. And it's
Mm.
normal, but you don't have all of the data. You don't have the big picture. You're missing information to really make the best decision and move forward. And that's where the second guessing comes in. That middle of the night, did I make the right choice? So
Mm.
I have pulled all of my tools together to show up with discernment to help women, business leaders, entrepreneurs to really make the right choice so it's easy for them to take action and not second guess themselves. And
Wow. Okay. We could have a whole discussion right on that discernment. All
yes,
right.
we
So
could.
So here at Fave and Being Brave Tour, we often at our in-person events, we have these little signs that say, I relate. So ladies, if you're listening and you relate to something, just write in the comments, I relate. Because discernment, as I was walking through my transitions, I prayed for it. I just said, Lord, give me discernment. Help me to make the right decision. So I love what you're doing. That's just really
Thank you.
awesome. All right, we're going to jump in. Thank you, Carolyn. And we're just going to jump right into our conversation here. So Debbie, I'm going to start with you. I would like for you to just real briefly give us an idea of what that shine circle, the format that you use, because we're going to kind of take that apart a little bit and go kind of dive into it. You have like 5 key points.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah. So I believe that this works with any entrepreneur in any niche, in anything. And it's taken me a long time to figure this out. But SHINE stands for self-discovery. Who are we really? Right? Not who somebody told you to be, but who are you?
Yeah.
And then healing, because there always is that H is healing, because there's always another level, right? Of like when we discover who we are and kind of let go of who we thought we were, there's healing that happens. And then I is for intuition, which we're all using. But if we hang around people that believe in intuition and really allow it to tell us something, there again, it circles back to self-awareness and healing. They always circle back. And then N is for nourishment and nurturing. We need to nurture and nourish our soul so it can be heard. Really, that's what it's always helping to tell us something, but are we listening? And then E is for empowerment and evolution because we're always growing. It's an upward spiral. And even if we dip back down, we just start with the self-discovery and the healing again, and it all just continues to help us grow.
Oh, that's beautiful. I just love that. So let's dive into it, and then we're going to start with Jenny. So and I wrote notes today, but I realized I don't have my glasses on. So if anybody else can relate to that their up close vision is like going out the window.
And you're meant to use your intuition, Karen. That's what I'm saying. We're just calling that out.
Okay, we're just gonna kind of go with it because we're having a brave, bold, and unfiltered conversation here. That's what it's all about. So, Debbie, you were talking about that self-trust, that self-discovery, and so let's begin with the C, the being brave that starts with self-trust. And so, ladies, for each of you, what was a moment in your life or business where you had to see yourself clearly and trust yourself? And what did that change for you? So, Jenny, what does that look like for you?
Well, when you talk about seeing myself clearly, how for a certain period of time that everybody, was wanting to be the spotlight or wanting to be on stage, and it was always like a go go go, to be I'm the person that everybody needs to look at, right? That never felt very true for me. Like I would talk to people and they would say I have dreams of being on stage, and then I would think to myself, I'm like, I don't have those dreams. Does that make me less than? And
Oh.
so it was, I believe, a brave conversation to myself to be saying, it's okay that I don't have those dreams. I have other gifts and skills and zones of genius, as we refer to inside the shine circle, and to own that, actually.
Oh,
And I believe it's been a journey of just being that person that I know I do a lot of good work behind the scenes and support the people that want to be on stages, and support the people that want to be in the limelight. I don't necessarily look for it or need it. I'm happy to be here, with these ladies. But yeah, that's pretty much my own journey of self-discovery and self-ownership. Let's
yeah.
add that in there as part of the
Yeah.
S.
So Jenny, thank you for saying that, because so much in the world they're saying, get on the stage, go speak, go do all these things. Thank you for giving those ladies permission to be that support behind the scenes,
Yeah.
because we need those people to not only who have the strategy and the skills to support us, but also to believe in us.
Mm-hmm.
And so thank you for that. And so Ashley, what are your thoughts on this?
I have a lot of thoughts on this.
Okay, remember, we just got to
Jenny,
keep it 2 minutes for each.
yeah, no, I won't overspeak. I want to hear all the questions, Karen. Jenny, you just gave so many people permission, and I was just typing that when you were speaking, Karen. You gave so many people permission to lean into their own being when you said that. And so my thoughts on this are yes, yes, and yes. And an area for me where I had to see myself clearly, actually, I'm going to speak from before the entrepreneurial journey with TapFit Fam and my business online. I'm going to speak to when I decided to homeschool my kids, because I homeschool my children, and I have 4 kids. One is 11 weeks old, so she's not being homeschooled yet. But when you decide that you don't want to do anything like everybody else, right? You want to just do your own path, which it kind of relates to what Jenny said. She wasn't wanting to do what everybody else in her circle was doing, being on stage and having that same dream. I didn't have the same dream to send my kids off to regular school and separate. I didn't even know that I wanted to homeschool either. I just knew that it didn't feel right in the moment. So to laser it in, self-trust 100% with homeschooling. I mean, if there's any other moms or grandparents out there that are the ones that are educating their children at home, whew, it takes self-trust every single day, and you doubt yourself all the time, because you always feel like, am I doing enough? Am I
Oh,
doing enough, right? To make sure I'm the sole person responsible for their education. And if they drop, if they're below on anything, that's all on me. And that's a big responsibility. So self-trust 100% with homeschooling was the first thing that came to mind, Karen.
wow, that is something too. That and I can totally relate, because I at one point in my life thought, oh, I wanted, I was thinking about homeschooling, and I thought, oh my gosh, that is such a huge responsibility. And so kudos to you for taking that on, but also exploring the thought around it, and realizing the all the pieces of it, and allowing for that self-doubt and walking through that. So thank you for that. And Carolyn, how does this question speak to you?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, actually, I didn't specifically say it. I have an engineering management degree. I spent 25 years in corporate America in manufacturing, developing small business centers, business systems, very technology, analytical, etc. And after my fourth layoff, because I was in smaller and smaller companies that were venture capital funded, they would run out of money because of poor choices. They were only using logic. They were not using their intuition. I decided to open a dog walking business.
Oh,
So a big pivot for me,
yeah.
because when I was working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, my dog was home all day long by himself unless I could run out at lunchtime. So I followed my intuition, and it did not make sense at the time. We were going into a recession. This was 2006. And I did it because I needed to give back in a different way. And I needed to prove to my kids that you can follow your joy versus what you're told to do.
Yes, we love it. And to explore what could be. You know,
Yeah.
what are those possibilities in life? And so,
Mhm.
Carolyn, I'm so glad that you're here too, because you give, you know, we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, but sometimes, you know, we come from different backgrounds. You know, we've got these corporate backgrounds where you did have to tap into that logic and to kind of that male way of thinking, and where that intuition doesn't play a big part.
Yes.
So it's really interesting. I love the perspective here because we're all coming from different places and different backgrounds. So thank you for that. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And so let's pop back up to Debbie, and we're going to go to our second question here. It's about, you were talking about the heal, releasing what maybe held you back. So brave women heal and harmonize what is holding them back. They honor that process, is what I kind of got from what you had said. So what have you had to heal or let go of in order to step into your own journey?
Well, I giggle only because it's kind of like Ashley, all the things, and it's an evolution.
Yeah,
But really,
absolutely.
and that is why I call it shine your unique light,
Mm,
because I had to heal that it was okay to shine. It was okay to
oh,
be seen. I
yes.
had a lot of healing to do around be quiet,
Mm,
uh,
okay.
just be the one in the background doing. So kind of the opposite of Jenny. I didn't realize that till now, Jenny. I was pushed into the background and told me that's my place, stay there.
Mhm.
And so I had to heal that it was okay to be in the front. And I never considered myself a speaker or a leader or somebody that was a writer. And now I'm all of them. So that's what
Okay.
happens when you start to shine and other people get to see this. They reflect it back to you. And that's what I'm doing in my circles is I'm helping reflect back a mirror to other people to build hope and possibility.
Oh, I love it. You're speaking my language. I can relate to so many things, and I hear a lot of women, you know, because that's part of society's norms as women. I call them women of a more interesting age. That was a lot what we were taught. Is that we were just supposed to go kind of be quiet, take care of everybody else, let everybody else shine, lift everybody else up, and we were to be in the background and just, you know, be that whatever. But if you are that person, great. But if you are meant to shine, go out and shine. And I love how you say that was just that now mirrors off of who you are. So I love that. So Jenny, how does this question speak to you?
Well, and I love everything that you said, Karen, and everything that Debbie had shared about, shining your own unique light, because it is us stepping into our own power, and as Carolyn said, our own discernment, not what everybody else has expected of you. So it's pretty much a similar story. I remember saying it in a retreat. I said, I am letting go of taking responsibility for everybody and everything, because at some point everybody was relying on me, and they're like, oh, like, it's okay, Jenny will get it, or oh, there's Jenny, she's there. And at the same time, I'm like, why am I always so exhausted? Why do
Oh,
I feel so heavy? Why is it all on me? And so learning to heal that part of me, to let go of all the responsibility falling on me, is still continues to be a journey, and to allow other people to also shine in their own gifts, right? Because I'm not meant to do it all alone, and I'm not meant to do it all by myself, all at once. And so that's kind of the process that we have here, which is why we all love being in the shine circle, having everybody shine their own unique light,
right.
and sharing in their gifts so that everybody else can benefit.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that. So many great points. It's like I need my little notebook so I can write all these little golden nuggets down here. And so let's pop over to Ashley. Ashley, I want to ask you something specific because you mentioned something I think that a lot of women relate to. You mentioned the word doubt. And so as we come to this question, that popped back in my head is like, is that something that you had to kind of walk through and kind of heal or let go of?
Okay, so speaking of notebook, I always have one and I do have little notes here and I'm loving this and I have little pictures already drawn. This is so good. Okay, doubt, 100%, Karen. Yes, 100%. So the first thing that came to mind when you asked, what have you had to heal? So I can go from a school perspective with homeschooling, but I'm going to switch this one and go with my entrepreneurial journey because I owned a business very young. I bought the dance studio that I was co-owner with through high school. I bought that right out of high school. And so I became an entrepreneur when all my friends were going to college, and I managed 350 students. That means, really like 1,000 people by the time you add in all the parents and the family dynamics of the little kids and or the little siblings or older siblings and all my employees and everything. And I was 18 and I learned a lot about people, about business, about just being me and shining my unique light and how I could help people. But what I also learned, which I had to unlearn, which is the healing, is I learned that I could be successful with my business if I gave it everything I had. Now, I didn't have kids at the time. I didn't have a husband or any of that. I was 18. And so I could eat, sleep, breathe my business. And I loved it. Okay. I am still very close with so many of those families. Like I wouldn't change anything about what I did, but I doubted, there's the word, I doubted my ability to be an entrepreneur, run my own business again, and homeschool my kids, which I already shared. The first thing is priority number one for me is being a present mom and being able to educate my children in the way that we see fit. Not comparison, just that's what we decide. But I thought, well, I will have to hold off on my dream and my vision to be able to impact and share my special gift with the world, shine my unique light with the world by doing what I love until after my kids graduate and move on, because I learned that in order to have a successful business, because I had success, I had to give all of me. And so I doubted that I could do both. And I don't do that anymore. I live in the and, not the like this or that, or when the time is right. And that takes bravery 100%. Also, maybe a little bit of insanity, to be honest. But it is following your joy, as everybody has already said. And so doubt 100%. But I think doubt creeps in when we're stretching ourselves a little bit. When we're not living in the comfort zone, I think doubt creeps in. So I have reprogrammed doubt to be like this confirmation that I'm doing it.
Okay,
You're
love
feeling this
that.
way because, right?
Yes, yes. Okay, next time I wake up and I'm doubting, I'm going to think of it that way. It's like, hey, this is good, but it's because I'm stretching myself. So I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. Woohoo! Let's go, girls. Yes, and I love also what you said is that that they're having that joy too. I mean, there's joy in raising your kids and homeschooling, but there's then that little piece that you need. And I think so many women set that aside, because we're giving to our families during those times. But if you could have that little bit of joy that's just yours, that you can own yourself, how special is that?
Yeah,
I
I
love
think that's a
that.
leading by example too, Karen.
Yeah,
There's a little bit of leadership there.
lovely. And Carolyn, how does this speak to you? Is there something that you had to release and to heal? What did that look like for you?
So I was an overgiver,
Mhm.
the oldest child, and the helper. So from a very young age, it was everybody else's needs before mine.
Yeah.
And starting a business, which was wonderful. I also started the second business, this business I call the Balanced Self. I lost who I was. I was
Mm.
giving away all my energy. I was listening to Jenny talk about, overtired because give, 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 and did not understand that no is a complete sentence. And it's okay to give somebody else an opportunity to do something, because really, when we say no, that's what we're doing, is we're giving somebody else an opportunity to pick up something they may not have done before. And the way that I learned this, or actually, I guess I knew it, but I'd forgotten about it, was I got deathly ill about 2.5 years ago. And that's what it took. It took me being in the hospital. It took me literally not being able to clean the cat box. I was so weak,
Oh my
because
goodness.
that's how strong I am inside. And I wouldn't accept help. I didn't know how to. And so working with these beautiful women and other people in my life, I learned how to really receive. It's not that yes, but it's the yes and, right, Ashley? So it's opening my heart to be me and say no.
Mm.
Because I was on board of directors of places. I was volunteering my time over here. I was so overcommitted that I look back on it and still feel a little bit of anxiety.
Yeah, but we're all giving you hugs. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And it was so powerful. And once I realized that this knock to my knees was a gift,
Mm.
I just started unsubscribing from everything, saying no, asking for help, both personally and professionally. And people showed up for me, and that was such a gift. And I think
Wow.
that's the healing. And there's a lot of people that just, it's hard sometimes as an independent woman who has a business, who's raised children, all of that. And it doesn't matter what stage of life you are with your family, you still always have kids. And to
That's
really set boundaries and look at me first,
yeah,
that's where the healing is. And that's where the bravery comes in too. Because it's,
absolutely. And I'm
yeah,
glad you said that because, we don't give ourselves credit to say, hey, we're brave. And that's why I do the Being Brave tour, because we can
yeah,
come and say, hey, you know what? That really was brave. But Carolyn, one of the things that I hear you saying, I hear the no, I said no to things. You know what you're really doing is saying yes to you,
yes,
saying,
yeah,
yes, I am a priority in my life. And I have to go do all those great, wonderful things. I got to say yes to me. And thank you for sharing that. That is really something. Oh my goodness. Woo! I want to be hugging you all because there's so many things here that are just so important that I know women are feeling. And this is why we bring these topics. It's because we can validate our experiences and validate our emotions as women. It's so important because that's how we connect. So thank you for sharing. So we're going to zip through a few more questions here real quickly. So the next part is intuition. And you've all touched on this a little bit. So a lot of women in midlife often say they're hearing that inner voice louder than ever. It's like coming out and it's like, oh my gosh, they're hearing it as what is my purpose? What is my meaning? What's my legacy? What's my impact? What is life? What's the meaning of life really? So what does your intuition sound like today? And how have you learned to trust it? So we're going to keep our questions just a little bit, our answers just a little bit shorter so we can get through the next couple and still have time to talk about the next topic. So Debbie, what does that look like for you?
Well, my intuition is definitely louder, or maybe it doesn't have to be as loud. Let's say it that way. It doesn't have to like bang me upside the head before I listen, which is my healing story. My health journey was much like Carolyn's. So what it feels like today is certainty and trust. But
Mm.
I practice using it and I have proof to follow. And in fact, I can look back and go, boom, there it was telling me, and I ignored it. And it took years to refine that to a place that now I trust it. And now I share my gifts with others. So that's my answer.
Yeah. How about you, Jenny? What does your intuition talking to you look like now?
I think my intuition talks to me now through feeling, and that was something I also had to learn and heal in my own process. So even as a business strategy, I ask my clients like, how does that feel to you, instead of it just being something that is
Oh,
existing as a framework, or somebody told you to copy paste this. It's like, yes, but how does that feel? And it often is about touching in and listening and seeing what that does to your body.
yeah, love it. Listening into yourself. Yes, and Ashley, what does that look like for you?
I love when Jenny says, "How does that feel to you?" Just
Yeah.
I love that about Jenny. That's one of my favorite things she says. It's like Debbie's. I love when she shared that there's a trust to it. So there is this welcoming as far as how it sounds. It's like a friend that I want to listen to versus somebody who you're like, yeah, 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 I'll get to you later. Like
Mhm.
that doesn't make any sense. We'll talk about it again later. But it sounds to me like a very calm, steady, but more importantly, a very strong, wise voice. That's like
Oh,
you this is what you know,
yeah.
so it sounds wise and strong.
Absolutely. And Carolyn, it's going to be interesting to see your perspective on this coming from corporate where there was so much logic. What does listening to your intuition and trusting that now look like?
So the phrase for me is trust but verify. And that's taking the intuition and the logic. So it's not diving in head first without doing any kind of, is this right for me? Our hearts are our most intuitive muscle. We can validate the answers through our bodies, And, you know, coming from corporate, I'm a big journaler and it's bullet points for me. It's not a big thing. So it's just quick. I felt this, I did this, and then there's the follow up of what happened. So there's that validation piece. And over time, it became so easy for me to completely trust because I could see the result of, like Debbie said, not doing it, or the result of doing it,
Right.
following
So
that intuition. Yeah.
yeah, thank you for saying that too, because I think I'm picturing in my head right now a little worksheet for our next one of our next magazines on that little checklist where you can put that piece of intuition in with the logic. They can be together. It doesn't have to be one or the other. That you can verify and have proof because that gives us um, proof to take our next brave steps too. That we can trust that intuition that yes, it did actually do something great for us. Awesome. we're going to be supporting all the girls here and we're all going to be walking brave together. So the next piece is nurture. And I just love that word nurture. We talk a lot about, self-care and things like that, but that word nurture kind of, I think, has a broader perspective for me anyway. So many women lead while they're running on empty. And I have been guilty of that. So, what's one nurturing practice or boundary that helps you stay aligned, grounded, and helps you to take your next brave step? Debbie, how does that speak to you?
Yeah, it's definitely in the pause. It's in the
Oh,
reset.
yeah.
You know, for us that
Yes.
pushed our whole life and then reached burnout, we have to. There's not a choice here. And so I'm always looking for the gap. My practice is, what am I feeling? What do I want to feel? If they match, then perfect. We continue on. If they do not match, I pause, I do a 60-second reset, and I come out of there ready to serve from the highest level.
Oh, I love this conversation because we're getting some practical steps here too. So, how we can actually implement some of these pieces here. So, Jenny, what are some practices that you do? What's one that
Oh,
really?
yeah, I one practice is I mean it came to me to say that nurture is boundaries and to have those non-negotiables set up before you actually say yes or no to other things. And one of them is this non-negotiable trip I have, which is coming up tomorrow. It's our Veterans Day weekend. I
Oh,
have girlfriends of 37 years now. I think we want to say we've been
oh,
connected. And every year on Veterans Day weekend, we take 4 days and we just have a girls trip. So that's on my nurture
lovely.
list. So I'll be AFK tomorrow. That's for
Yes,
my
we
nurture.
love it. We'll be thinking about you on your girls' trip. Those are always fun, and I love how because that also gives you something to look forward to. You know that's in your schedule each year that you get to have that special
Yes.
time. So that's really fun. Ashley, what's one practice or nurture piece that you implement?
Well, anybody that knows me knows the answer to this, and it's to move my body. It's to
Yeah.
dance. Yeah, Debbie's already doing it. And I think that this is a really important one for everyone because we are human beings and we get so stuck in the doing.
Yes.
But we're not human doings, we're human beings. And in order to be you, you have to connect with you, and that is your body. That is the life force that we have in this journey, right? And so it's movement. It doesn't have to look like any specific thing. It doesn't have to look like tap dance or anything. Whatever you do that moves your body physically is what you should do. Like whatever it is. Some people are hikers, some people are, they just go for walks. There were ladies that used to do mall walking when I was a kid growing up. They would be like groups of older women and they would walk the mall. And I just thought that that was the coolest thing, that they had their ladies like Jenny, like the ladies that they hang with, and they would move their body. And I
Yeah.
think that way too many people don't move enough. And so when it comes to nurturing, then we find that we're sick, then we find that we're ill, then we find that we're injured when we try to move because we haven't moved for so long. And if you don't use it, you lose it, just like your intuition. You'll silence that bad boy if you don't listen, if you don't practice. So absolutely movement.
I love it. I'm doing line dancing right now. So right before this, I was practicing my line dance. And so it's a real challenge though to remember the steps.
That's
But
a huge part of it.
it is, yeah. So I purposely am doing line dancing so I'll use my brain and keep moving so as I age. So anyway, good stuff there. And so Carolyn, what's something that you put into practice that helps you out?
So in order for me to be fully aligned and be able to access the logic, the intuition, everything around me, I need to be in my body. And the way I do that is gentle walking, and getting outside in nature. I have this absolutely gorgeous little backyard, huge oak trees. I will go and I will hug a tree, literally. It's so grounding, it's beautiful. I will just sit in the sun and listen to the birds and feel the breeze and all of those senses.
Mm.
And it just pulls me back into my body and remembers, like Ashley said, I'm a human being and I need to take that pause.
Yeah.
Thank you, Debbie. And just really step into who I am. And then it clears away all the clutter in my mind, the stuff that I've been thinking about, and then I can feel more. And that's the intuition. You've got to be able to feel in your body to really process that intuition.
Absolutely. And just taking that time. I do that where I go in the mornings and I go in my car because it's my creative time, but it's just like I don't have to think about anything. I just let things flow. And it's just like, oh, that moment. And I just look forward to it every day where you can just sit and just kind of pause. You can feel the things and just let that energy be. I love it. So let's move on to, we're almost finished here. We're on point number 5, empower and evolve. Being visible and being of service. So when did you realize that your voice, your story, was meant to be shared? Debbie.
I think that story is still evolving. So pieces of the story continue to evolve and then I share. But I actually just wrote about this in a book, and I just put it in. So it's very clear to me right now that there was about 10 years ago a message dropped into me that was the eye of the needle. And I was like, what does that even mean? What is that? And I got a message loud and clear that my story was going to be shared. And I panicked. I literally was running backwards. Like, there is no way. You can't make me do that. I'm not going through that eye of that needle. That is not me. And so probably it was in that moment that I realized it was going to happen, although I was in deep denial until I was helping everyone else tell their stories. And I've seen the power in those stories and the healing that happened to other people. And I went, Debbie, you already know. You have to do this.
Wow. Yes. And our stories, we don't always know who they're going to touch. And we're really lucky if we find out that it has touched somebody, but we still have to step out there. So Jenny, how does this question speak to you?
I immediately thought of my kids. I have 2 teenage girls, and I believe in actually living the life that I would love for them to have and to have those values, right? And so
Yeah.
if I am going to step into who I am, I want, because I want that for them.
Yeah.
And that's a big driving force of everything that I do. And I'm sure Ashley is the same, Debbie, Carolyn, we're all mothers here. And how can they follow my example if I don't even just live it? And so those are the people that I think of when you talk about empowerment.
Right. And you also said something here that I think the ladies need to hear is that you don't have to be on a stage. You don't have to be in front of a camera. It might be just sharing that story with your children. Maybe you're writing your children letters, maybe of parts of your life, so they can know how you grew up or how you met your husband or what that might look like, or just and sharing those words. Women used to come together and share their stories and their experiences, like cooking or around the fire or with, in groups of women. And that was so healing. So it incorporated a lot of these points that Debbie has brought together in her Shine Circle. So let's pop on over to Ashley. What does that, how have you been able to realize that your story is really important to share?
Well, how have I realized it is exactly like Jenny? I can't ask my kids to live bold and brave and follow their dreams if I'm not going to model that. That's ridiculous. That's being a hypocrite. That's one of my biggest if anybody ever called me a hypocrite, that would hurt me to the core. Like, I think that's the worst thing you can do is say one thing and do another. But you know, to go to the when did you realize your voice and your story was meant to be shared is another way you worded it too. And with that one, it was for me when I was dancing when I was younger. When I was 18 and I bought my business, I would teach these lyrical classes or these jazz classes, or we would do stretch and strengthen or toning or whatever we were doing. They were intense. I was very competitive back then. I still am with myself for sure, but I would push these kids, and always there was so much respect. They respected me and I respected them. And there would be so many nights where they would be laying on the ground and I'd play a certain song because the song spoke to me, following my intuition to play that song. And there would be these teenagers laying on the ground just crying, not like sobbing in a mess, but like going through the motions, doing the work, and tears coming out of their eye while they were laying on the ground. And I would walk by them and I'd give the corrections and I would look at them and I'm like, you got this. Like, I would like, good job. But it wasn't because of their feet or their legs. It was because they were feeling it and they were in the moment. And I just remember there would be parents that would message me after a long night. I'd get 11:30 at night a message, hey, my daughter got home and she couldn't stop talking about how amazing dance was tonight and how good she felt. And she's so glad she went to dance after school because school was rough. And I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it was this confirmation that it was so much more than the steps, which is why I'm a movement and momentum mentor. Like, it's not just this is a dance teacher thing. And so, yeah, when did I realize it and why? When you see the ripple, when you see what it does to somebody else to be living in your light, you'll never not do it. And so I have to model that for my kids.
Absolutely. Wow. And creating that ripple, it's contagious. It's energizing. It keeps you going, and look what it, what it did for a student and to her parent. Because it rippled to the parent.
Absolutely.
So lovely. And probably to her girlfriends too, or, all of her friends.
Well, to
So,
their kids now, because these
yeah.
students of mine have their own kids, and they message me all the time. They're like, "Hey," and I'm like, "It never
Oh,
stops." We just dance through life all the time, guys. It's great.
oh, I love that. Let's dance through life. All right. Carolyn, how does this speak to you?
When I was a kid, my parents rewarded me for being the math and science kid, for doing well in that area. And I did do really well in it. It's easy for me. And my sister was rewarded for being creative, being the writer. And so I had put myself in this little box. And in 2011, I was offered an opportunity to be in an anthology book. And I'm like, me, a writer, right, Debbie? And I had to reframe everything for myself. And writing that story was the most healing experience I ever had. I was able to go back and look at my journey and see, and I called it the Cinderella story, but I realized that I was the evil stepsisters and the evil stepmother to myself.
Oh,
I was the one that was putting myself in the basement or in the attic. And yes, I had other major players that helped me, yeah, but I was the one that was making those choices.
wow.
And writing that story empowered me. It gave me the visibility into my own energy and my own blocks to stop that behavior and
Oh,
really become me.
okay. We're just going to talk and we're just going to applaud you here because that is, I want to let women know that you all have a story. You all have something to share. You don't have to share it on a platform.
Mm-mm.
So
No.
I invite, I'm just going to pause here just for a second, do a little plug here because your story can heal you. It's for you. When I wrote my story, like Carolyn, I was, we put this book together. I read my story after I wrote it, probably, I'm not kidding, like 30 times. And I cried so many times because it was healing for me. And there was layer after layer after layer that I had to walk through. So what I encourage women, we have a platform at Fave Lifestyles where any woman can go and write her story. It's interview style, will lead you right through your story. You don't have to publish it to anyone. You can write it for you. No one else even has to see it. But what if you wrote your story and we'll lead you through the questions? We have been very intentional about what we ask, and it's a healing process. Even if it's just for you, if you want to share it, you can. We're here for you. But just wanted to put that out there because I think it's really important what Carolyn said. She wrote the story. She didn't think she was a writer. but what she realized so much about herself and her own healing. So, oh my gosh, I'm just like, oh, Carolyn, we got to get your story on the big platform too. So, all you ladies. And so, anyway, we are going to close out here. This has just been a fabulous discussion. So many things. We could take each one of these points and go deep into it. So let's close out though, and then just real briefly, what does brave look like to you now, and what's one thing that you want to leave the ladies with, Debbie? What does brave look like to
Yeah, I
you?
think as a really example of what brave looks like to me is collaborating with you, Karen, right? We had many discussions and we knew that we aligned in a really beautiful way, but it also takes that bravery to trust in someone else with your audience, with your people, with your mentees in a
Yes.
way that they will be held and cared for in the same way you would. That's what being brave is, letting go of the control and knowing and trusting that this is the right thing. This is the next step. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, isn't that brave stuff, and you in control, letting go of some of the control, because we have all created and we're all very protective over our communities because it's taken a lot to get to this point, and we want the best of the best for the women that we have a sphere of influence with, and what is that going to look like, and raise those ladies up to in the best way that we can. So thank you for saying that. And Jenny, what does brave look like to you?
Thank you, Karen. I am going to add, because Debbie had said trust, and that is my word and continues to be my word for the year, but it is brave enough to actually take the steps and to take
Oh,
action. Because oftentimes we have the best ideas, but to actually put it out there and to do the things that will make it happen, that's
yeah.
where a lot of us up until now get tripped up. And so that's what bravery looks like for me.
Yes, and that brave step, you've surrounded yourself with these beautiful women to kind of believe and support you along the way and go, yes, you can take that step. That's what
Yeah.
we're here for. So, and Ashley, what does brave look like to you?
There's two things that are coming to mind, and they both mesh perfectly with Debbie and Jenny's. So when I'm coaching in my Alive and Align collective, I have a framework, and it's my dance framework, just like the Shine framework that Debbie has. And it's so beautifully complementary, just like it's the Shine circle, and you're always going around all of the letters and all of the elements of this. Dancing, we're always dancing back and forth through all the letters as well. And the first thing is decide, take aligned action, DA, N, notice, C, create, and E, energy. And that is bravery. And if I take it even further to tie it into what Jenny and Debbie said, I wrote a whole blog this week about trust your moves.
Oh,
Because again, it's always about moving. And my word for the year is also trust. So it is trust your moves, trust the steps that you're taking, like Jenny just said, but also trust
yeah.
that you're hearing the right message, that this is what you're supposed to do. The dog walking business made no sense when you were in corporate. Like that seems almost silly in comparison, right? So it's like, trust your moves. That's what bravery is. But then not only just trust them, dance through them. Be aware when you're doing it and notice. And that sometimes is scary because we can just go, okay, well, I'm going to do this thing and I know what I'm going to do. And this is all the steps that take me to get there because so and so has taught me this, or I just know it because I just know it. We muscle our way through as women sometimes and men, but we tap into that masculine energy sometimes when we feel like we really need to. And then we forget to slow down and pause, like Debbie said, and notice. And so it's dance through life. That takes
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. So we're going to be dancing through life with you. And Carolyn, what does brave look like to you?
Being brave is being me,
Yeah.
really stepping into my uniqueness
Lovely.
and also surrounding myself with people who are also brave, who are also being authentic and shining their own unique light. It's easier sometimes to be like everybody else or follow somebody else's pattern. I think Jenny mentioned the step-by-step process versus how do I feel about this? So being brave is also trusting my intuition when logic just says, oh, please do not do that.
Yeah.
And
So ladies, this is really, oh, I'm sorry, Carolyn, was there
I
something
was
else?
just going to say that's also knowing that with each breath, we have an opportunity to pause, to make a difference, and to pivot.
Fabulous. Thank you. That is a wonderful wrap up. Ladies, I want to thank you so much. And for me, being brave is stepping out here, bringing this Being Brave tour around America. I want you to be a part of it and share your story. Come support us, just cheer us on, whatever that looks like for you. Bring a brave topic to the table, just like these ladies did. And if you have a community, we'd love to share this in your community and uplift your ladies and spotlight and put a shine on them. So I want to thank all the ladies here, Debbie, Jenny, Ashley, and Carolyn. Thank you for joining us today. This has been so beautiful. And I just want, ladies, we can go out there and be brave together. And we'll see you next time.